Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Ben. So Ben, welcome, man.
Hello. Thank you for letting me be here.
Yeah, it's super cool that you're in China too. That's like it's like
Yeah.
like you're teaching there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can you give us your full type before we get started?
So my full type, if I remember correctly, it is ENFJ. Um oh,
I have it here if you want me to say it.
you have it here. Help
I
me
have
out.
it.
Help me out. It's been a while.
So you're
Feminine, masculine, feminine, like F. No.
yeah.
Oh, the TI is like strong, right? And then it's like reverse. I remember that part.
Yeah, okay, let me
Yeah.
read it out then.
Okay.
Um so your full type is ENFJ. You're the jumper kind, you're the extrovert feeling, extrovert sensing type,
Mhm.
the jumper. You're play, consume, sleep, blast, and masculine,
Mhm.
feminine. That's what you are. Uh,
Okay.
so how long ago did you get type? It must have been like a long time ago, based on what you're saying.
Must have been about 2 years ago.
Oh wow, like right when they
Yeah,
started, like 2019.
I think 2 to 3 years ago, because I mean I was in college and I'm not in college anymore. I might
Right.
have been a junior in college and now like I graduated, so it's been a while. Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. I think the first thing I noticed about you is that you're the jumper ENFJ type, right? You're SF first, so I can definitely feel like the cool guy vibe from you, like just right off the
The cool
bat.
guy
Like,
vibe. Oh, that's nice.
yeah, you're just like exuding the cool guy vibe, like
That's,
it's,
that's
it's just
awesome.
it's just you, man. Like you got the swagger,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
um.
Cool.
So what did you think when you got your type results back then? Like when you got your type back, like what did you think when?
I thought, it was interesting. I'm trying to learn more about like, the masculine, the feminine. Um, I think, I mean, it all lined up and I liked it. It was just, um, I don't think there were any examples of my type at the time, if I can remember correctly. Um, but yeah, it seemed to make sense. You know, and especially with the TI and stuff, because I never saw myself, as just someone with like, weaker like, logic functions, I guess. So like, I don't know, kind of being flipped, it made sense. And then in some ways, I don't know, it was a little confusing at some points, I guess.
You are definitely a weird ENFJ. You're not the typical, like you are not
Right,
like you're like
right.
a, they call it a glass lizard because you have double activated TI and it's masculine, so you can see it,
Yeah,
but it's like right at the
yeah,
bottom, which is like, and it just confuses everyone because it's like what that, like what are you,
right, right.
Um, like I wouldn't be surprised if you got mistaken for like an ESTP or ESFP or something, like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
because you seem very SF. Um,
yeah.
so talk about that. Talk about like living your life where you are tribe above self and you do try to um, help the tribe as much as you can,
Mhm,
but then
mhm.
still being able to see yourself right there. Like you're not completely gone because you're not like the pure EJ. You're like the EJ that has self awareness. So talk about that.
I mean, in being in China, okay, so like kind of being in China, um, there's different, it's a different tribe, right? It's a different culture, right? So I'm like being here, it's kind of important to me to learn, how to, you know, go into this culture, when I'm like from somewhere else and there's different, rules and stuff. So it's kind of, I don't know, I think that's kind of interesting because, I care about the tribe. Um, and, I don't want to like upset the tribe. So I'm like trying to learn the rules and, manage that. But then at the same time, I'm trying to like kind of keep myself. So I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like sometimes like, the work life here, because when you're in China, like in these cities, right, there's not a lot of foreigners. So there's a really close like group. And I think like having that close group is important because, if you don't have that group, it's kind of, you can almost feel lost, and like, you know, you don't have people to talk to that fully understand, you know, things and stuff. Like, I don't know, like just certain things with work, maybe, for instance, like if I'm like, oh man, my boss like wants me to work on my off days, and he told me like, I don't know, just 2 hours before, right? If I tell that to like my, you know, my more foreign friends, they tend to understand that. But if I tell that to maybe like a local, like maybe here in this culture, it's a little bit more normal for that to be the case.
Right.
So yeah. So that, I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Because I think I don't know, maybe it differs depending, like, you know, if I'm back in the States, you know, and I have my tribe, and like I'm, you know, going out in the city with friends and stuff, versus being here. And it's a little different when you have, you know, friends from like all over the world, you know, being in China. Yeah.
Where in the US are you from, by the way?
I'm from Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Okay, I see.
Mhm.
You know what? I think it's super interesting that you ended up in China. Would you say that's because you are, your play consumed? So you are like the very like chaotic gathering kind of EJ, you know, like you like to explore, you like to
Yeah.
channel change, you like to go outside your box and venture out into the unknown. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think so. Like right now, so I'm learning Chinese. That's one reason why I decided to come.
oh,
But
sweet.
also now I'm trying to learn 4 languages right now.
Oh,
Like, but not in like, not like full on, right? But
yeah.
there's ways, you know, I don't know, I researched it to like kind of like learn like a little by little by little, and like kind of put it together. So my theory is like I'm learning like, you know, Japanese, Korean. So one day, like, I don't know, I'll come back to the States,
Yeah.
you know, bring all my money, pay off my tuition, and then I'll go to Korea, and then I'll fly back to the States, and then it's Japan, and I fly back, and then it's Thailand, and I fly back, then it's Russia, and then, yeah, because I'm always like, I don't know, I don't want to be bored in life, and I don't want to live like just, I don't know, in a cubicle or something. So yeah.
Dude, man, I love the fact that you are an EJ, but you know your TI, you know what you want. Like
Yeah.
it's so cool, man.
Yeah.
It's like it's such a weird paradox, you know,
Yeah.
like you even have a plan and you're not even save your intuitions, which is even like interesting.
Right.
Like you're like a walking like contradiction, which is great. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
I think other
Yeah.
like EJ types, ENFJs can learn a lot from you actually.
Yeah.
And you have a strong fascination with the Asian culture. Where did that like come from?
I mean, it's not necessarily Asian culture, I would say, but
The language then.
to be honest,
Yeah.
I think the most money for English teaching is in Asia, because I think the way that the educational system is set up,
Right.
like here in China, you have to learn English to do the entrance exam that everyone takes in China in order to go to a college. And if you don't pass, you don't go to college. You like work at like I don't know, you work you maybe like at the mall, or you become like a masseuse or something, or do more like what I heard, what my girlfriend tells me here, because she's Chinese. She tells me like what she's heard is it's either in life, it's like you use your brain, you know, to make money, or you use, you know, your body and your hands and like
Right.
hard labor to make money. So that's kind of what it's like. So I mean, here, being in China, you know, people pay a lot for education. You know, education is free, but there's definitely a lot of differences in, you know, education. Being in a small city, the education standards are a little lower. Being in Shanghai, where everybody wants to go, it's like you instantly get into like Harvard.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, it's because like the parents are just paying money to try to get, you know, because if there's a kid who didn't learn English and there's a kid who learned English,
Yeah.
I mean, one is already a step above in the test. And then it's like that in Korea, I think too.
Right.
And Japan, I'm not so sure, but I think so too. Yeah.
Man,
So that's why. That's why.
I love your ruthless TI. I love it. I love it. You know, it's like, yeah, it's all about the money. You know, it's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, it's good. It's all good.
But it's for now it is, because I have to pay off this bill, right? And I don't know, but maybe it'll be canceled. Maybe there'll be some student debt that's canceled. So I'm looking forward to that. If so, I don't know. I can go to where I really, do you know socionics?
I know. I don't know socionics.
Okay, so I started learning Russian originally for socionics, so maybe I can go to Russia.
Yeah.
That was also a plan, or Ukraine, I don't know.
So Russia, it's not, it's because you want to learn like what's in it, what's in Russia that you.
For Russia, it's the culture.
Yeah.
It's the culture. I think, and then I'm interested in why out of Russia were there so many different types of typology, because there's more than just socionics. There's psyche yoga or psychosophia, and then there's one called temporistica. It's about like time and stuff. It's like psyche yoga but with time.
Right.
So I'm like trying to figure out like what in like Russian culture made all these like typologies come out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
I did like Russia when I went there. I went to Moscow, and it was weird, man. It's like, like I've been to Paris, and Paris is super multicultural, but they have like every race in Paris essentially. And then you go to like, you live in US and in Canada too. It's very multicultural here, so it's not weird to see like everyone hanging out and stuff. Then you go to Russia, and it's like that, but it's like weird because it's like people from countries that you never heard of, like congregating.
Yeah.
Like all the Stan countries, like Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. So it was like that, and like it was like just really weird when I saw it. I'm like, wow, it's like a melting pot, but it's different. It's like,
Right. I think it's because the Soviet Union, it had those as like satellite countries or something.
Right.
So there's a certain relationship that they have where, like, I don't know, maybe if education is better there, you can go to Russia and it's pretty easy. Yeah.
You know what, Matt? I bet your Chinese is better than mine, because I can barely speak Chinese.
It may be. I'm on. Maybe, I don't know. It's so hard. But in China, every city has like a different language. I did not know that until I came here.
Oh yeah.
Every city has a different language, their own language.
Right.
Yeah. So you may speak Chinese, but maybe with more of like elderly people, they might not know Mandarin. Actually, it's a possibility.
Yeah.
So maybe like when I get takeout, I'm on the phone, like first they speak like their local language, and I'm like, whoa, like hold on. Yeah. Like I've been studying Mandarin, like I'm ready for this, like, okay, hello, like wait. And then it's just local language, and I'm like, oh, I have to like tell them I'm a foreigner, so I only know Mandarin or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went to Beijing before, the locals just spoke English to me because they knew I couldn't speak Chinese.
Oh, see, yeah. See, Beijing.
And I'm Chinese, and I can't speak.
Yeah. Never been to Beijing. Never been.
Oh,
hopefully soon.
It's polluted.
Dude, I came here 2 months, and then the virus happened.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2 months. And like I'm here, and like it's so weird. It's like the virus is only in China, and I'm here, and I'm like, oh no, like should I leave? Like what's going on? Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. So you're a double observer, so you are not scared of chaos or control. You're really balanced with that stuff. So the virus hits, and if you were like an observer, like an EP or IJ, you would have freaked the fuck out, right? But like you're like in the middle, so you're like what did you think when that happened, and how come you were so calm and you decided to just stay there?
I mean, so yeah, I mean, I know I didn't want to go back, and because in my area, things were, once again, it's a small city, it's kind of a small city, so there weren't that many cases. But I mean, in general, the problem, I knew that the problem wasn't going to be like we're all going to get the virus or something. The problem would be how do I manage being in quarantine? That was the problem. So like, because I need, we need that social interaction. We need, friends. We need, to be having fun, I don't know, and doing things.
Right.
So at that time, like, I don't know, I was very calm. I was very calm. All I was thinking about is how do I, keep mentally well in this state. That's
Right.
all I was thinking about. So I'm like, I have to like create a routine for myself. Like, I don't know, I wake up, I exercise, I, call my friend, I, have some things to do with my time. I learn a little Chinese, I'm doing art, drawing, I'm writing and stuff, reading, keep doing things. So like, I'm not just there and I'm like, oh my God, like I need to get out of here. Like I have to like go outside and like go on a run or something. Yeah.
I found it interesting that you went straight to your play animal when you said that. You're like, yeah, you know what? Like, I don't want to be alone. Pretty much what you said. I
Yeah.
want to like,
Yeah.
because you're still an EJ, even though you are the the glass lizard kind. You still want to be with
Yeah.
people. You want to and play
Yeah.
first. So you want to have fun with people. Um,
Yeah.
Although you do have sleep and consume in the middle. So, if you have to be by yourself, you're okay. Like you can just consume stuff and process your,
Right.
thoughts, right? So, um,
Right.
so how did you feel about those middle animals that you have? Like, like the pandemic hit in China, there was a possibility that you might be alone there. So, and
Yeah.
then you would just be left to use your sleep and consume. Were
Yeah.
you okay with that though? Were you okay if you couldn't play with people, you just have to consume and sleep?
I think so. For some time, because I was thinking, okay, so at that time I was working 6 days a week, 20 hours. So in China with training centers, typically if it's not a public school, you work like during the week, like a little bit after the kids get out of school. So maybe you start at like 4:30, and then on the weekends you work almost all day, kind of. So that's how it is. So when I got here and when the virus hit, like the school can't open. So I don't know, several thoughts are going through my head. But I mean, one is that we're doing online school and it's just a lot more convenient. I have a lot more time to, focus on, I don't know, inner thoughts and journaling and I don't know, like self-discovery and stuff like that and cultivation of, I don't know, skills and I don't know, stuff like that. So yeah, I was okay. I was okay. For the most part, I think I handled it pretty well. But still there was that need to kind of like, I just want to like get out and go for a walk and like, I don't know, maybe walk with a friend. Both we have our mask on, we're good. And yeah, I did it a couple times, not gonna lie. I just, it got to a point of like, I need to, because we live in a community and I don't know, a lot of communities in China, the complex, they have like security, right? So when it was at its worst, you had to get a ticket to leave the community to like go get food and stuff.
Right.
And then I'm like, my boss is like, you can't leave, like you cannot leave. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna leave. I'm definitely gonna leave. So I go out and then I'm like, oh, I have to get the ticket. Like, okay. I'm the only, like there's three, I'm like, there's two of us, like two foreigners out of like a whole sea of like Chinese locals. Like there's no way like that these people or like the boss or something will not tell my boss. I'm like, all right, I can't do it. But then after things relax, like, I don't know, I went out with, actually no, I went alone to like the mall area and it's like just this ghost town like
Yeah.
I've never seen before. But I saw like a friend, like ironically, and then we just like walked and talked for a little bit and that was nice. So there's points, I don't know, there's points where I cracked a little bit, but yeah.
Well, you know what? You are an EP, right? You're an EJ EP, so you're gonna be breaking the rules. You're gonna be chaotic. You're gonna be rebellious.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and then yeah, you
yeah,
definitely did that. During the pandemic.
yeah.
Uh, so that's very interesting. So your consume is ST. So you like to gather facts. Is that right? Like when you read, you like to gather like facts and details. And does that sound correct to you?
Um, I mean, when I read, like right now, like I read a lot of poetry and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I don't know where facts come in. In MBTI, I type as INFP actually.
Right.
So with facts,
If you have ST
I
consume
don't
as
know.
an ENFJ, your consume is TI and SE. So SE is
Yeah,
facts and TI is your that's your identity. And the interesting thing too is that you have double masculine consume. So it's going to be very aggressive when it comes to gathering facts, you know.
yeah.
So like how
I
does that
mean, with what all I can like, so for facts, like I'm looking at my bookshelf of all the stuff that
wait,
I've been
hold on a second.
buying.
One second.
I mean,
So,
it. Uh-huh.
like the fact that you were able to recall all those rules during the pandemic, I think that's you being
Yeah,
aggressive with the facts. Like you just knew all the details. That
yeah,
was yeah.
yeah. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But what else have you used it for? Like obviously you're using it in a practical sense, you're
Yeah,
finding all the
I'm
rules.
trying. Um, facts, 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 facts. In what sense? Um, I think. Okay, one thing that comes to mind is it's kind of a long story. So at work, so what keeps coming up is work. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it just does. Okay, so at my old job, teaching English, there was no like curriculum or something, right? It's like you make all everything for yourself. And I was like, it's good, but like, if the students don't come at the same time, it's kind of hard to make them keep going up in their level, right? Because they're just coming and like, I don't know, if I teach ABC and then like Johnny doesn't show up for 2 weeks and then I teach GHI, he doesn't know what's in between, right? And so that was kind of weird navigating. But now I'm at a place where there is a curriculum. One thing for facts that show up is like I'm here and there's already lesson plans and everything. I'm reading the lesson plans and I'm like, okay, we need to like do this, this, and that. And then here, when I go and do it, they're like, oh no, we shouldn't do this and like we shouldn't do that and we shouldn't do this. And I'm like, well, the facts is like this is the lesson plan. The lesson plan says we need to do this, this, and this. And we have a program on the TV that goes along with the lesson plan. And I'm like, if we don't do this, then how does it go along with this? And like these are the facts.
Right.
So one thing that comes up, that's one thing that comes to mind is like that some like at work, I have the book. I have the teacher's book. Like I have the teacher's book right here. And it says like we're gonna do this and this and this. And we can like edit some things, like, okay. But then when we edit things, like I'm asking questions like, how does this go along with the courseware? How does like this go along with this? How does that go along with that? And sometimes there's no like firm or strong answer. So I think one part with like SE and TI, trying to build like a plan based off of the facts, based off of what we have, and based off of the program, it's been a little hard navigating that because it's like, oh no, we don't do that. But I'm like, well, then what's the purpose of this?
Right.
And then my response is like, oh, I don't know, like, I don't know. And then I'm like, well, if this is the purpose, then we should do it this way. And then, yeah.
Okay. Well, it seems like you're pretty solid with the facts in general.
Yeah.
But let's go over your NT sleep now. So your sleep is NI and TI. And Dave and Shan recently released a class, or not recently, but it was the last few classes
Uh-huh.
they did a class on some EJs, especially ESFJs and ENFJs, and they noticed that the worst insult you could ever say to someone that is lead extrovert feeling is if you make them feel stupid. Um, and apparently, which is very interesting because you're emotional outside, but inside you are like logical. You're like NT, right? So how do you feel about your identity, being NT? Inside you are NT, you are like a nerd inside, and you like to solve puzzles inside. So if someone were to like attack you and say you are stupid, you're like you don't know anything, like how would you feel, how would you react to that?
Let me think. I mean, I think it depends on the context.
Right.
I don't know. Sometimes here, I do a lot of research on like teaching English and stuff, but sometimes here, people can be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And for me, it's like, I do know what I'm talking about. Like, here's my work. Here's the time that I put into teaching. Here's the time that I put into my class. Here's the time that I put into everything. And then meanwhile, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're on your phone, like playing games in the office.
Yeah.
You're like chit-chatting with friends. And like, here I am, here's my work. Here's what I'm doing. Like, so for me, when someone does that, yeah, it kind of, it's a little frustrating. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm learning to separate myself from tribe a little bit. I'm learning to create my own tribe, right? So, or create my own stuff and kind of separate that so that the people whose opinions I care about more, are the people that will matter now and in the future, and then not like the people maybe, I don't know, that are like kind of just passing by in life.
I like how you just provided a template for like ENFJs to protect themselves should they get attacked with this sort of attack, like an attack on your intelligence, essentially. The thing is though, like you have that consume and sleep, and the typical ENFJ usually has consume and sleep as a demon, right? Like either third and fourth. So they are not doing that consume that you're doing. They are not researching. They're not like puzzling things together. They're not organizing information. So when someone does attack them, it does feel like they got their pants pulled down and now they're exposed to everyone, right? But for you, someone tried to pull down your pants, and then voila, you research and you have stuff to back up what you're saying. So it's not like now you're like safe, you're protected, and then like they can't do anything to you now. So I like how you provided that template. It's like, yeah, guys, if you don't want to get if you don't want to risk embarrassing yourself, then go do the consume. Do the puzzle it.
Right. I mean, it's not easy. I would say it's not easy, but it's what I think it's what we need. Yeah.
You are blast last. How's that been a challenge for you? Especially you're a teacher, right? So that should be interesting.
Blast last. So blast, just refresh me. Blast is like just going in and doing something, and right. It's just going in and just it's like almost like willpower, right? You're in a situation and then you just like figure things out, or it's like jumping right into the water per se, right?
Not completely. So there's some stuff that you said that is part of it, but some stuff that is not. So it is getting started. Like you said, like jumping in the water, that's part of it. But it's to narrow it down, it's pretty much teaching your known information to the tribe. So you are pretty much educating the tribe based on what you know. So you're in your case, you're teaching English. So your blast last. So what kind of struggles have you had, both in your professional life and personal life, because you have trouble, kind of like controlling the tribe, teaching the tribe based on what you already know? Because you're like an EP, so you're like obsessed with gathering, but maybe you don't take the time to gather and teach, or organize and teach. Sorry.
Yeah. I think so. What I relate to that is like, I'm always learning, I'm always, researching different things. But sometimes I have a hard time making a judgment on like what I learned at a certain point. So like sometimes at work or something, like I'm like, I don't know, we're gonna teach this today, and I'm gathering all this information, I'm doing all these things, but I find it hard sometimes to make a decision on what I should actually do.
Right.
And then I don't know, that it's really weird. And then but in the classroom, like teaching what I already know, yeah, once again, it's like I feel like I'm teaching, but I'm always learning how to teach. So it's this weird thing where it's like I'm doing research in the classroom. I'm like, okay, this doesn't work, and like, why didn't this work? And then, okay, this worked, and then why did this work? And like, I'm doing my own research and stuff. And that's what comes up in work life. So it's like, sometimes it's just hard to like use what I know, because I'm thinking so much, like it's like hard, like how do I get this out of my brain and just put it into action sometimes. In personal life with relationships and stuff, being last, teaching, once again, gathering stuff, learning. I don't know. Sometimes when friends come and ask me, hey, what do you think I should do? And I don't know, ask for advice. I'm like, well, what's the issue? And they tell me the issue. I'm like, well, you can do this, and you do that, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do that. And like, I understand, and it depends on what you're looking for. And like, like maybe there is no wrong decision, maybe there is no right decision. It all depends on what you want. And I don't know. Sometimes, like, I don't know. One thing that comes to mind is my friend. He's dating a Chinese local, and local of the city that we're in, and his ex-girlfriend, they owned a music shop that's kind of like a music lounge or music bar. It's not really common in China, actually. I don't think. I think most people who are interested in like music and stuff are children, for some reason. Like it's kind of hard to find like adult classes for like piano and guitar, at least where I've been. But they had this bar, right? And his ex-girlfriend would like be like, oh, I don't have any money, can you like pay the rent? And he would do it. And I'm like, dude, why are you paying the rent? And then in here, for like marriage and stuff, you like, the man gives the woman's family money sometimes. And so he gave like 10,000 renminbi, and then like bought like a handbag for like I don't know, like almost like a Gucci handbag for his ex's mom and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, I don't know, it's like you should do it, but we're asking like other people who are married, and then we're like, have you ever had to do that? And they're like, no, like, especially like, at this time, it's like very uncommon. So I'm like, dude, I think, I don't think she's, I think she's kind of like, getting money out of you. And I don't think it's really that good. Like, I think you should like probably like, split ways and stuff. And the funny thing is he worked at another school in the city, and then he went to a new job. So his coworkers at the old job, right? He's also a person, very tribe oriented, very sociable, very friendly. But suddenly when he started dating his ex, suddenly like that connection like got cut off. And it's like he jumped off of like, I don't know, he just disappeared or something. Right. So I know he needs this stuff. I know he needs, because he's, we're always talking and stuff. And like I know he needs a tribe. For sure. That's one thing I know about him. But then suddenly all this communication and stuff is just cut off. And then it's like his tribe is like gone, because I think his ex is like forcing him to like just focus on her and stuff. And then I'm like, dude, I don't think it's good for you, and I'm trying teach what I know. I'm like, I know this is not right. I know it's not good and stuff. And so they split. And then, last thing was she basically cheated in front of him. And I'm like, dude, like, come on, like, dude, save yourself. But once again, what he was worried about is he's like, he's got his social connection at this bar, right? It's not just his ex, but it's also other friends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, are you gonna tell everyone like you broke up and stuff? He's like, no, I don't want to like hurt like the relationships and stuff. I'm like, dude, no. So that's one time. But then like I always wonder, like, and then after that, he went back kind of with his ex a little bit. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, are you sure that's a good idea? Once again, trying to like kind of teach what I know, I think. And then, so eventually he found the power, left the city, and then he's done. So that's what comes to mind about teaching. So, because I don't know, because sometimes during that point, I'm trying to like help him and support him.
Yeah.
And like, be like, it's not your fault. Like, like what she's doing is wrong. And like, I don't know how you are just like, he's almost like, is it my fault? Like, dude, how is it your fault? It's not your fault. But then at certain points, then he's like, he like made peace with it. And he's like, we talked about it. He got a tattoo. He got like a matching tattoo with her after all of this. I'm like, dude, that's crazy.
Oh my God.
But he's like, we made up, we did stuff. So I'm like, okay, like, I don't know, if that's what you want, then I support you. I mean, it's your life, if you feel comfortable with that. But then at the same time, like, it's not the right decision, right? Because then, bad stuff happened again. So I'm like, I don't know. That's what comes to mind. Okay.
So he dated a gold digger, and he's acting like a simp, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I don't think you were blasting. You were going through your known information based on what you know.
I wasn't blasting. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. That was a long story.
No,
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like David Chan calls your type, you're play consume, right? So you're called as they call it you as a bird chipper or something like that. Like you pretty much like go in circles when you tell a story before you get to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I just did. Okay.
No,
yeah.
it's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. It's because that's your type, so it is what it is, right? Like, but yeah, pretty much it's like if I were just blasting, I'll just be like, yeah, he dated a gold digger and he's acting like a simp. That's like but
Yeah.
but all right. So, dude, it seems to me that even though you're like an EJ, like it would be super hard to type you because your problem seems to be like EP problems. Like organizing like your known information seems to be the biggest problem. If for the fact you didn't like talk about people so much, I think you would have hands down been typed as an EP. Like the only takeaway from you is that like you talk about people so much that you're clearly like a decider. But you're like a weird balanced decider because you can see your identity. So it's like the organizing that you have issues with, which is like super interesting. Like would you say you're pretty disorganized then?
Yeah. Looking around the house, pretty disorganized. At work sometimes can be pretty disorganized, but I tell myself, I have these goals and being organized will help me do everything. So I try my best to organize what I can in life, both material wise and internally. So yeah.
When you were younger, so since you're an EJ, the typical EJ problem is the self, not caring about yourself enough and
Yeah.
having an identity crisis. Has that ever happened to you? Because you're double activated TI, right? So I don't know if that had ever happened to you or not. Has that ever happened to you?
Crisis.
Yeah, identity crisis or like self-loathing or
I mean, the only identity crisis I can think of is going from like kind of being in like a religious type cult to not being in a religious type cult. That's the only identity crisis I can think of a little bit, but not really. Like I feel like I've always had a sense of who I was, but sometimes maybe it was hard to express it.
right. Got it. And because you have extrovert feeling, do you find yourself like wanting to adhere to the tribe values? So like your group of friends, they all value something, and do you share their values usually, or your family perhaps?
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of the issue. That's the issue that I see in my life. That's the issue that I see um, is that, sometimes like things happen and people have the ability to just not care about it. I mean, with certain things like with relationships or like being here in like, once again, coming back to work, the TEFL industry in China, it can be like at a training center. I don't think like from what I've seen and heard and not yet researched, but I'm going to soon, is that like most people don't stay in certain types of jobs here. And like the job that I'm at right now is the job like you're singing and you're dancing, you're jumping around with children and stuff. And typically those types of jobs are things go pretty bad. Like there's room for all sorts of bad things to happen or bad management, and then consequently bad relationships. So it's kind of hard for me here right now to manage some of those things because at work, the work can be very dysfunctional because like the principal, for instance, it's a business, right? It's a school, but it's a business, right? So their main interest is getting more students because more students means more money. And so, for instance, the principal can't speak English, which is pretty like, I mean, we're in China, right? So I mean, that's that. But like, it's kind of uncommon for a principal to not speak English of an English school, right? So like when you walk in and you're like, hey, my kids are gonna learn English, and then like the principal is like, oh, I can't speak English. It's like, what? So consequently, because he can't speak English, he can't read the lesson plans. He doesn't really know the system of how things work.
Yeah.
All he can do is ask other people. So how did he get the job? I think in China, relationships are pretty important.
Right.
So like if I have a friend and like, I don't know, like let's say my kid, I have a relationship with like some other person of power, and my kid is not going to pass this like college entry exam. I can be like, hey, can you help my kid like go into college? He'll be like, sure. And then like relationships. So I think he got the job consequently because of relationships.
Right.
But coming back to your question, so yeah, like the example I have is like at work. Is like, so things can be pretty dysfunctional. Like right now, my relationships with some of the people here aren't very good because we have different ideas and we have different ways of thinking about things. And there's no leader to kind of make those decisions and say, okay, well, you should do this, or like, okay, I hear your point and we can incorporate that, but we can do it in this way because our principal doesn't know anything about like education or like anything really academic, but more so like sales, how to like sell the course. But it's kind of weird because it's like, he doesn't know the course, but he sells the course. And then it's same, we have people who sell the course also don't speak English. So they don't know the course, but they sell the course.
Right.
So it's kind of weird. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. But when I come here, there seems to be some sort of character, some sort of type that is perfect for this job, because like all this stuff goes on and then they just don't care, because at the end of the day, you still get your paycheck. No one's going to take your money. No one's going to be like, you're fired, because no one will fire you right now because they need teachers. They're like begging for teachers to come. So nobody can be fired. I don't think there's anything that I could do right now to be fired. The only thing I could do is like maybe not show up to work, maybe, but I'm not going to be fired. They'll just take my pay or something or do something like that.
Right.
But there's virtually no way to be fired. But still, for me, it's like, I want like, a healthy work environment. I want to like, be friends with the people that I work with, right? But with so many problems going on, it's so hard. And then it's hard. I'm teaching myself how to not care, and then how to like separate myself from that, right? And then how to build, I need to build my tribe like literally somewhere else. And then there's my tribe, right? And then I go to work, and then that's not my tribe. I'm just making money. And, I don't know, like, do they really care if the students are learning English? Not really. I don't think so, because they don't make decisions that are best for, hey, are students learning English? Like, we have stuff in our book, like materials needed, right? And they're like, we're not gonna provide those materials. Like, do we really need this? Like, oh no, like I don't want to spend money. Like, it's fine. Like, it is what it is. So
it sounds like the whoever runs the place is like a blast first person with consume last. So they never bother to learn, English, and they're just like blasting what they already know, which is sales and marketing. And and then the people that they hired for sales are the same thing, blast first and probably consume last, just focus again on sales and marketing. And it seems like it bothers you because it lacks like representation, where like you don't represent the product, like you aren't like, you
that's right.
like you should be the product, right? Like if you that's why IPs are so attractive, is because they are what they say they are, like they, and I think that bugs you, when like people running the place, they don't represent that. It's like BS, right? So dude, my next question for you is with your sexual modalities, you are audio kinesthetic. So how good are you with music or with sound, and how good are you with like doing things with your hand? Like, are you good with working out, with exercise, sports? How are you with that?
Well, in college, I was a music major, so I am a musician. So I played piano and guitar. I attempted singing. I was in an a cappella group, so I sing with other people, not alone. And yeah, so I think that makes sense. I can see that coming in with like language and stuff, like very interested in, the different sounds and stuff. I'm most attracted to like, oh, like what sound is that? And like focusing on it and how to produce that sound and stuff. Yeah, and then with sports, I like running. I used to, and when I was in the States, I would run. I don't know. I ran like 2 marathons by myself. I like long distance running. I like putting in music, and then just going into a zone, and then just it's like 2 hours later, and I'm like, wow, I ran like really far. And then, but now I'm more into like lifting weights and stuff, or trying to dumbbells and stuff. So
You know,
yeah,
like with like Africans, the East Africans are like the long distance runner, like the Kenyans and stuff, and then like the West
yeah,
Africans are like they're like really jacked, so they're really good at sprinting. So,
yeah.
like you said that you were into long distance running. So are you more like the Kenyan type, like build?
I have no idea. I don't know.
You know where you're? Do you know what your ancestral background is? Because you're African American, right? So like, do you know?
Yes.
Like, have you ever
No,
taken?
I did not know. I do not know.
Oh, you've never taken your 23andMe test and like see?
No, no. I wanted to, and then I'm like, well, it probably doesn't work in China.
Yeah.
So uh, probably if I buy one in China, probably won't work. So
Yeah, I like to ask people this question. I'm curious to see like their exact like breakdown, because I traveled a lot in Africa, so I'm really curious to see like it's like, oh, are you like 25% South African, 30% like Nigerian or whatever?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't, to be honest, from what I know, actually African Americans are more genetically similar to Europeans than Africans, actually.
Well, I spoke to Evelyn. I don't know if you know her in the Facebook group, but
No.
yeah, well, she took the DNA test and turns out she was 25% white and then 75%
Yeah.
African, right? So
Yeah.
she was still more African, but she did have like a 25% white.
Right.
But I'm more curious to see like the exact breakdown for like I'm info dominant, so I'm obsessed with like accuracy information,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
and because I've actually traveled to like I've been to 89 countries, like that's kind of yeah,
Nice.
yeah, that's my
I'm
thing.
jealous.
Yeah, that's my thing. I love traveling. So I love to like hear about people's cultures and stuff. Like, and like
Yeah.
I'm actually like able to distinguish different like groups of people now. Like if I go to Africa, like okay, like so, oh, like the people from Ethiopia, they look like this, and the people from Zambia,
Yeah.
they look like this. So like I haven't been to West Africa yet. I'd love to go, but like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. So I was
I
just
see.
curious. Um,
Yeah.
because you when you mentioned long distance running, I'm like, oh, those are like Kenyans, like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, all right, dude. So I have last two questions for you, and then we'll wrap up the interview. All right.
Okay.
So the first question I have is, or this is actually an opportunity for you to blast, which is to teach.
Okay.
So you have something a lot of EJs don't, and this is like you're almost cheating almost. It's like you
Uh-huh.
have the ability to access your TI. So a lot of ESFJs and ENFJs, they don't have access to TI. So what advice can you give them to access their TI truths? To know what's true for them, what's important to them, because you've figured it out, and it's clear to me that you know what it is. But
Hmm.
how can they do it when they don't have sleep in their first three, or they don't have consume in their first three? Like how can they practice it?
I think first thing that comes to mind is just whenever you're trying to figure something out, sit down and write. Just sit down and write something. Write, or even you could go online and then like type like 50 questions to ask yourself to know yourself better.
Ooh.
Question number 1, just start writing about it. Just write and write and write, and start journaling. I think that's the best way to like figure out, because there's something about just getting those thoughts out there and seeing it that helps you, right? And maybe read some books. I don't know, read something, read a novel, read poetry, read about like stuff, where people are in like a similar situation to you, and then you can see that and reflect on it, and then find that truth, and then you can find that truth, in your own life.
Do you have any like specific resources for them to look over, like specific books that you think would help them with their finding their TI truths, or specific audiobooks, or resources online,
Oh,
like anything specific, so that they have something to work with, because
I have a link for like 50 questions to ask yourself. I have that link. Okay, so I
Okay,
have
yeah, there you
that.
go. Okay, okay, good.
Specific book. I don't know. I wanna go on the poetry side, but I don't know. It depends on what you're looking for. It depends on like, I don't know. Depends on what you're struggling with or what you're I don't
Well,
know. Yeah.
well, the universal struggle of the EJ is not knowing themselves and not knowing how to express themselves, and you know, separating themselves from the tribe and just being an individual. Because a lot of EJs that I've interviewed, someone like they've told me, I don't even feel like I'm a person. You know, that's
Yeah.
I've heard that more than once already. Like, do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're a person or not a person? Or
Oh, I feel like I'm a person. I do
okay,
feel like I'm a person.
okay.
Yeah.
So because
Uh,
you have double activity TI, you do feel like a person.
yeah.
But those other
Yeah.
people that have sleep blast or sleep demon, or they just don't have access to TI, they don't feel like they're a person. So how can they feel like a person? You know?
I think right. That's my first thing that comes just write. Just Google questions, how to know yourself better, and
Yeah.
then start writing. Or start going to one thing that I did back in the States is go to a writing club. Like find something like, I don't know, here's 5 words and you have to make a poem off of it or something. When you do that, and then you like, that's your work, that's you there, right? And that has your truth in it. And it's, you see yourself as you're all, you're all writing, you're all, talking about yourself, right? It helps you see yourself better, I think. So what first comes to mind just in my own life is writing.
Right.
Writing and journaling, whether it's you want to be more creative and you want to go down the poetry route, or I don't know, story writing, or you want to go to journaling and asking yourself questions about, like, where do I want to be in 5 years? Just write that out. Or, what is my greatest strength? Write that out. What is my greatest weakness? Write that out. What's the time in my life I felt X? That's what I've helped, or that's what I've seen help me the most.
Gotcha. All right, man. So I'll have to go get that link from you
Okay.
after the interview, so I can share it to those other individuals.
Okay.
Might be especially that I like that link that you were talking about, like the 50 questions to ask yourself. I think that's a good
Yeah.
one to start.
Right.
So last question before we wrap this up is: do you have any questions for me before we wrap this up? You know.
Uh, at this time, no. No. I'm looking to get back into the community. I kind of got separated a little bit, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to get back into the typology community, trying to learn more things about myself, more things about people, and more truths that I need to hear.
All right. So awesome, dude. Thanks for coming out and doing this interview. I really appreciate it, especially because we don't have enough ENFJ representation. So this is like
Yeah.
fantastic. Like I loved it.
Yeah.
So thanks, dude. And take care in China, and see you around.
All right. See you. All right. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.